As always, a festive atmosphere at the Orlando Arena. The crowd still filing in, a crowd that may set records for decibel level, and the Magic welcoming the support because for the first time in this season's playoffs, Orlando finds itself trailing in a series, and this the scene moments ago, just before the Magic hit the court.
Let's go. Let's do it. Down, bitch ass. Let's go, man. Let's go do it. 1, 2, 3. Magic! Young guns. Boom! Big gun. Boom!
So coming up, it is game number 2 between the Magic and the Rockets. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Matt Kukas and Bill Walton. Well, going into this series, most of the discussion revolved around the battle of the big men, Shaquille and Hakeem. But as it turned out, game 1 evolved into the battle of the three-point shot. Kenny Smith with an NBA Finals record 7. Houston with a record 14. In all, 8 NBA Finals records were broken. 2 tied, all in the category of three-point shooting. And Matt, defending against the three is the major concern of the Orlando Magic.
Orlando creates the same dilemma for their opponents, so they know the problem well. Defensively, you just can't take away everything. Here's what was happening in game 1. Hakeem Olajuwon gets double-teamed from the top. The Rocket three-point shooters are all spaced into their slots. The easy pass out and no way to catch up to Robert Horry. And then Hakeem not getting doubled. The perimeter defenders stay with their men. A quick hard move, and Olajuwon gets to the middle for a key basket down the stretch. And starting out tonight, Orlando feels it must stop the barrage of threes. So Shaquille O'Neal will have the tall order of guarding Hakeem Olajuwon one-on-one.
And Bill, were you surprised that Houston was able to win game number 1 without Hakeem Olajuwon dominating Shaquille O'Neal?
Absolutely, Marv. But that's all about the uniqueness of Shaquille O'Neal, who in his first finals game at only 23 years old was simply sensational. Just 1 assist shy of a triple-double. Hakeem Olajuwon's numbers were good, but the rebounds just 6. That's because Shaq just presents a whole new set of problems, pushing Hakeem underneath the basket. Hakeem never able to find a defensive rhythm or a rebounding pattern. On the offensive end, unable to play with his back to the basket against the big, much bigger and stronger Shaquille O'Neal. I believe that Hakeem has to go to a different philosophy, go back to his guard move, step away from the basket, face him, and then go right at him.
All right, both teams have just completed their pregame warm-ups. We'll take a break. When we come back, game 2. The Magic and the Rockets coming up.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Red Dog Beer. Bold yet smooth, unusually easy to drink. You are your own dog. By Jeep, makers of Grand Cherokee, Cherokee, and Wrangler. And by Sprite. Image is nothing. Thirst is everything. Obey your thirst. Sprite.
Welcome back to Orlando, where the Magic have enjoyed the home surroundings during the regular season. A record of 39-2. That's the best home record in the league. But in the playoffs, with the loss here in game 1, they have now dropped 3 games at home during the playoff run. A look at the starting lineups. First for the Rockets. In the backcourt, Kenny Smith with the NBA Finals record, 7 3-pointers in one game. Clyde Drexler, who helped lift the Rockets in the second and third quarters the other night. Up front, Hakeem Olajuwon, he finished strong with a game high of 31. Robert Horry and Mario Elie, both instrumental in the Rocket comeback on Wednesday. Rudy Tomjanovich, the head man for the Rockets. He's done a masterful job, and this is 4th season as head coach and gunning for a 2nd straight NBA title. For the Magic at the guards, Anthony Hardaway, 26 points in game 1. Nick Anderson, who has handled the missed free throws with such candor the past 24 hours. We'll have more on that later on. Up front, Shaquille O'Neal, 1 assist shy of a triple-double the other night. Horace Grant, 15 points, 16 rebounds in game number 1. And the coach of the Orlando Magic, Brian Hill, who has done a solid, unappreciated job, and this is 2nd season as head coach of the Magic. We have double coverage on the sideline. Reports from Ahmad Rashad and Hannah Storm. Let's start with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. The thing that has impressed me about this Orlando team is how loose they are. They lost game 1, but you can't tell by the way they've been acting in the locker room the last couple of days. They are loose and ready to go. I talked to Brian Hill about that. He said, well, when you have a young team, a lot of times you don't dwell on the negatives. And that includes Nick Anderson, who has not dwelled on any negative, even though he had a chance to ice the game in game 1 with free throw shooting. He came out early and sank some free throws early on, and in fact he does before every game, and says the perfect scenario would be for this to be a tight game, him to be on the free throw line, and he'd sink them. All right, let's go down to Hannah.
Thanks, Ahmad. Robert Horry gave the Magic fits in game 1, a power forward who can shoot three-pointers. He had 4 of them, but he may not be a threat for the Rockets tonight from three-point range. Horry hurt himself blocking a Penny Hardaway shot at the end of game 1. He has a badly jammed index finger on his right hand. That's his shooting hand. Doctors say that the injury is significant. It could affect his shooting. But Robert's optimistic. It's something to watch for, Mark.
All right, Hannah, the officials, Stu Holland, Ed T. Rush, and Dan Crawford. Hakeem Olajuwon and Shaquille O'Neal will go on the opening tip. And Robert Horry of Houston controlling. Kenny Smith loosening up as he moves across midcourt. Ariel Clyde Drexler. And Hakeem handles for the first time. Rebounded by Hardaway.
And right away, Hakeem looking around, seeing if the double team was coming. It didn't. The Magic will come, however, when Hakeem puts the ball on the floor. Shaq wants to take away the middle from Hakeem, make him take the jumper on the baseline.
And the foul is called. Shaquille making the turn, going for the jump hook, and took the hit from Clyde Drexler, who came over to help.
Sometimes you get so excited at the start of these games, you forget what you want to do. Hakeem did a good job of pushing Shaq away, and then Clyde comes in and fouls a guy before he's ever even made a shot in the game.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal on a tear at the line. He was 6 for 8 in game 1.
He'll be teaching Nick Anderson next.
Oh, a low blow here from Bill in the opening minute, Pat.
Well, Shaq has had his ups and downs, no question about it, from the free throw line throughout these playoffs, and he's got to be very happy with that start.
So the Magic with a 2-0 lead. Horry played by Grant. Drexler. And O'Neal with the rebound.
2 shots, neither one of them close, neither one of them good offensive looks for Houston.
Hardaway gives it back. O'Neal.
Well, you don't see that shot too often, but I think Shaq is going to try to do everything. I think he wants to put a lot of pressure on Hakeem at both ends of the floor. He knows if he can get Hakeem in foul trouble, his job will be easier.
Anderson with the steal. Scott for 3. Dennis Scott trying to find the range, coming off 3 of 10 in game 1. Drexler posting up. Olajuwon for the crossover, and from out deep.
Whoa, that's unbelievable. That man is 7 feet tall, and he looks dwarfed next to Shaq. That's a face-up jumper from 19 feet.
Game is tied at 2. Scott with no one on him, coming up short on the three-point attempt. Drexler got the step. Rebound, Olajuwon. Pops it back out. Here's Smith for 3. Horry wanted to slam it in one motion and was very fortunate to keep it alive. Olajuwon, yes.
Even though that shot fell for Hakeem, it is one of his pet moves, but that's the shot that Shaq would rather see him shoot. Take that little fadeaway going towards the baseline. That way, he's not a passer, he's not a rebounder. When Hakeem gets to the middle, he can make his teammates better.
Hardaway.
Terrific defense, Horry coming in from the weak side.
Drexler on the run. Well, Clyde Drexler missed his last 7 shots going back in game 1. Rockets with a 6-2 lead, in Orlando taking a 20.
Hakeem Olajuwon in the low post, working so effectively. The little hitch right and come back the other way. Freezes the defense momentarily, but notice the extra arc used on that shot. Drexler, though, who turned his ankle in the second half, his left ankle, he's got it heavily taped tonight. He told us before the game that he's really got a lot of pain in that ankle. Hopefully he'll be able to explode off it. Clyde Drexler, like Hakeem, like Shaq and Penny Hardaway, just the toughest guys in the world out there playing through the pain.
Well, that open floor dimension that Clyde Drexler brought to the Rockets, they always did like to run. They are just that much better now because Clyde can do that, finish in the open floor, and also he's an excellent passer in fast break situations.
See the stat line on Clyde Drexler. It was done for the most part in quarters 2 and 3 on Wednesday night. He did not score after the third quarter. Morris Grant. And the tip missed by O'Neal.
And again, Hakeem forced a block out rather than grab that rebound himself.
And the ball back to Orlando on the turnover.
Well, right after I said Clyde Drexler, an excellent passer on the break. Actually, he mishandled the ball in the middle that time. And by the time he caught up and got a handle on it, Kenny Smith was already by where he wanted to throw it.
Orlando 0 for its first 6. Shaquille called for steps.
Basketball is all about balance and quickness. A man of that size, Shaq, one of probably the 5 biggest people on the entire planet of 5.5 billion people, got his head a little bit too far committed.
And it goes right back the other way on an offensive foul.
Offensive foul, number 34.
Olajuwon called for the illegal pick.
Well, on a simple little pick and roll situation, Hakeem has to be very careful with fouls. You just don't expect a player of that caliber to pick up a foul in that situation. He doesn't even have to set a great pick. He just took the spot up to the open area.
Olajuwon with his first. O'Neal off the double team. So Shaquille able to power his way on the Rockets with a 6-4 lead. Olajuwon spinning and giving it up to Ellie. Rebound, O'Neal. Mario Ellie, you recall, got off to the slow start the other night and then came on in strong fashion. They double up on Shaquille. Hardaway with the head fake. Whoa.
And that's what the Magic want to look to do more of. When the ball comes out of the double team, don't just always settle for a 3 or a perimeter shot. If there's a seam there, take it and challenge the defense at the rim.
And it's tied at 6. Drexler backing his way. Nick Anderson with no answer on that move.
Well, I think the Magic do not want to let a Drexler or Olajuwon get that close to the basket before a double team. But when you do get that close, you just can't get down there in time.
Anderson with the rebound. And Ellie sweeps it. Drexler for Horry. Robert Horry with the left-hand stuff. Rockets 10, the Magic 6.
Houston is rebounding so much better tonight. They realize that Hakeem is not going to be able to get every rebound.
Gone by in this first quarter. Shot clock at 6. Olajuwon fouled. It was hacked by O'Neal. And a timeout is called. 6:37 remaining in the first. The Rockets by 4.
The NBA Finals continue. Game 3 Sunday at 7 Eastern on NBC.
Well, there's Nick Anderson who missed the 4 critical free throws in the final 10 seconds of regulation in Game 1. Obviously, a very tough ordeal for Nick. We talked about that with him.
Well, as you know, I've been in that situation several times, and I come through, whether it's free throws or a basket. And after I missed the free throw, I'm saying to myself, Nick, this isn't you shooting free throws, But after the game, the most important thing, I heard, my mother came to me and said, well, you've done it before. It just didn't happen for you tonight. when I got that comfort from her, I'm saying, well, everything's all right then.
And there is his mom, Alberta Anderson. His teammates also have been extremely supportive.
Marv, Nick Anderson is a 70% shooter on the season. The odds of someone going 0 for 4 in that situation, less than 1%. So the Magic had greater than 99% chance of winning that game, and they did not.
Is that from a professional mathematician?
Yes, it is.
I asked that because I know it is. You were supplied that information.
Oh, I can add 2 plus 2, and I can make change for $1.
Less than 1%.
Well, and you can throw that 70% out because in clutch situations, Nick Anderson is much better than 70% normally.
And actually, that was only the second time all season he had missed 4 free throws in a single game. Did it against the Lakers during the regular season. Kenny Smith called for the foul. You know, that piece of information was offered to each of us, man, and only one of us went with it. By that professional mathematician.
Still the defensive matchup to start the game for Houston. Kenny Smith on Penny Hardaway. Deep post position.
And a foul as Drexler came over to help out. Ed T. Rush with the call. And again, it's on Drexler. That's his second.
Well, Clyde timed it perfectly. As that ball was in the air, he was on his way. And I think he was surprised that the ball was out there for the taking. I think he was just coming down on a normal double team. He felt he had all ball there and wanted a jump ball situation.
But the Houston Rockets have noticed that when Shaq has the ball in the low post, he holds the ball away from his body. So their double teaming is geared to double team the body, not the extended ball, so he doesn't split the double team.
And Chucky Brown has come on for Clyde Drexler, just picked up his second. Anderson for 3. The crowd here rooting so hard for Nick Anderson to get into it. Shaquille O'Neal with his second field goal. He has 6 points. The Rockets lead 11-8.
When Hakeem gets beat that bad for position, he's just got to let him go.
Olajuwon picked up by Anderson. And Hakeem too strong with that shot. Anderson had a notion to break, but the Rockets able to get back. And Orlando only 3 of 13 here at the start. And a kickball violation. A new 24 for the Magic.
Well, 3 of 13, Marv, but the Rockets not taking advantage of it. They look a little bit confused offensively, expecting double teams, and they are not coming. Hannah Storm by the Rockets huddle during that timeout. Rudy Tomjanovich telling Hakeem, take the ball to the basket.
Well, Anthony Hardaway took it to the basket for his second field goal. The Rockets lead by 1.
Kenny Smith just not a good enough post-up defensive player.
It counts, and the foul. So Olajuwon to the line.
Basketball is all about positioning. Shaq gets the great position, works so hard to get the deep one. Little soft pass. If you zip that one in his head, he can deliver that with a lot more authority.
And then at the other end, Hakeem Olajuwon is now starting to get to the middle, and that's the one thing Brian Hill was concerned about with Shaq. Shaq wanting the challenge of guarding Hakeem, but concerned about fouls. He's already, he picked up the 1 hack earlier, now 2. He wants Shaq to turn him to the other side. Now with 2 fouls, they will probably start double teaming.
And he picked up 2 within a minute and a half. Horace Grant with his first field goal. Houston 14 and Orlando 12.
It wasn't until the second half that Houston, as the team comes right back. But the second half, they had Mario Elie guarding Hardaway and didn't allow the post up.
Horry off the steal. Went to the crossover. What a move by Robert Horry. It put Horace Grant on the floor.
Well, the crossover, I don't know if it was a wet spot or not, but it was a beautiful crossover move by Robert Horry and a terrific finish.
Here's Scott for 3. Oh, Dennis Scott missed his first 2 attempts from downtown. Able to hit there to bring the Magic within 1. Hakeem spinning his way, and that will count. It's a goaltend.
Well, the Magic not going to the double team yet. What they're trying to do is have Horace Grant pick up Hakeem Olajuwon, not necessarily in transition, but every slow time down the floor, Horace was able to get there and make the switch, but you can see how ready Shaq is to come over and help out.
How about Brian Hill staying with Shaquille here in the first quarter, although he picked up a second foul.
And that's why the switch with Grant on Olajuwon and let Shaq play Chucky Brown.
All right, Scott for three. So the game is tied at 18.
All those open shots we saw throughout game one caused by the forced double teams. Now Orlando not double teaming.
Olajuwon, yes. And Hakeem on fire now, 5 of 8. He has 12 points. Rockets 20. And the Magic, 18 of the shooting at both ends has picked up. 3:15 left in this opening quarter. Grant bottled up. And the call is last touch by Chucky Brown of the Rockets.
9 seconds to shoot.
If they would go to Mario Ellie early defensively against Hardaway, I don't believe they would have to double team on the automatic pattern that they're in right now.
Orlando's hit its last 5 shots. Hardaway.
That's a force.
Ellie with the rebound. Here comes Smith. Kenny Smith. And Chucky Brown on the putback. Rockets lead 22-18.
And a 2-on-5 situation. All 5 Magic players were back that time, but on the Kenny Smith miss, all 5 Magic players stood flat on the floor, and Chucky Brown went after it.
Hardaway setting it up against Smith. O'Neal in deep. Illegal defense for the first time called against the Rockets. And Orlando is calling for a timeout with 2.5 to go. In this opening quarter, it's the Rockets 22 and the Magic 18. Shaquille in a discussion with the official Dan Crawford.
Kenny Smith going to get some open spaces here. A little bit surprised that he's able to get in there. And all 5 Magic players kind of back, but nobody going after the loose rebound except Chucky Brown.
Well, Pete Sampras in attendance here in game 1. In fact, gave us some assistance on the camera, Matt, as you recall. A vicious argument between Andre and Pete.
They don't look like mortal enemies to me.
But they all want to be basketball players. And how right they are.
2:32 to go in this first quarter, and the Rockets with a 22-18 advantage. Marv Albert with Matt Gukas, Bill Walton from the Orlando Arena. Shaquille O'Neal throwing a baseline turnaround
with Charles Jones on him, who had some effective minutes against Shaq, in particular late in the second quarter of game 1.
Well, Charles Jones, the 38-year-old, 11-year veteran, making his first appearance.
I'm surprised that Horace Grant, Marv, is not trying to front Hakeem Olajuwon. I don't know if Houston can throw over the top to Hakeem.
And Hakeem has already attempted 9 shots within the first 10 minutes. Foul called on the Rockets.
The foul number is 17, Mario Ellie.
Foul on Ellie, that is his first.
His first in the last 2 minutes.
Now Sam Cassell checks in for the first time, replacing Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith did not score in this first quarter. Sam Cassell had a short run in game 1. Got the idea, let the officiating bother him, and also playing with a sore elbow.
Yes, but when Kenny Smith was as hot as he was, setting all those records, you would expect him to keep Sam Cassell on the bench.
Ellie. And Hardaway pops it down. Stolen by Ori. Ori going right at Hardaway. And a foul is called against, let's see, Dan Crawford says stay right here. It appeared that he was calling it the other way.
20, Brian Shaw.
And Brian Shaw picks it up, his first.
Well, Robert Ori is really reading the eyes of Penny Hardaway. That's the second time he has picked him off on a cross-court pass, and that was an easy one. That hung in the air an extremely long time, and Robert Ori, very explosive going to the basket. Hardaway makes him change the shot in an inside position by Mario Ellie.
The confusion of the call. Referee Dan Crawford could not believe that the guy had such great offensive position. And there he goes.
Off the alley-oop from Ori. 14 for Hakeem, and the Rockets lead by 6. We come up on 1 minute to go in this first quarter. That lead pass from Shaw, poorly thrown.
So much for the fronting theory, huh?
Ori for 3. And Jeff Turner, who just checked in, on the rebound. Turner from downtown. And rebounded by Olajuwon.
Charles Jones, terrific defensive rotation.
And Jones fouled by Turner. That was about to be a rare shot opportunity for Charles Jones.
Number 31, Jeff Turner.
We talked about Horace Grant needing to front Olajuwon, but there was no pressure on the ball. Dennis Scott backing way off, just giving the easy look and no defensive rotation. That's what fronting is all about. Terrific eye contact between Ori, a former center himself, who wish he had somebody that nice passing himself the ball when he was playing in Alabama.
I don't think it was really an intentional front by Horace Grant. I think he was just trying to get on the top side, and then the quickness of Olajuwon just beat him to the spot and up in the air. It was a perfect pass, but I've been looking at some of the defensive plays that Robert Horry is making. We talked so much about what a great defensive player Horace Grant is, and he is very good. But Robert Horry is playing great defense so far in game 1 and so far in this one.
Rockets 26 and the Magic 18 with a half-minute left in this first quarter. Biggest lead of the game. Illegal defense for the second time, so that a technical foul.
And Scott will shoot the technical.
And Dennis Scott will shoot the technical. You recall in game 1, it was a 20-point lead at one stretch. So things have gone the other way here. And in game number 2, Houston down by 20 in the second quarter. Ryan Shaw working the clock down. Turner.
Two terrific defensive plays by Charles Jones.
Final seconds, but they actually had more time. Horry did not realize it, but the Rockets take advantage. Mario Elie hustled it down. Now Shaw fired and goes off the back of the rim.
The score at the end of the first quarter, the Houston Rockets 28.
Robert Horry prematurely throwing it from the back court. Still had more time to get it to the front court, but it paid off because Mario Elie was able to convert. Hakeem Olajuwon with a strong first quarter, and after one, it's the Rockets 28, the Magic 19.
You're watching the 1995 NBA Finals on NBC.
Charles Jones defensively, he'll step out and deny a pick and roll. He'll drop back, he'll rotate over to pick up a penetrator. Two solid defensive plays on the same sequence. 38 years old, just played 3 games for the Rockets in the regular season. Doing it all for his team in the closing moments of the first.
Well, so far the strategy on the part of the Orlando Magic to have Shaquille play a dubious distinction right there.
Now that's embarrassing.
But the strategy for Shaq to play Hakeem one-on-one not working because Shaq picked up the 2 fouls.
Second quarter underway. Houston concluding with a 10-1 run at the end of the first. Turner for 3. Jeff Turner has been hitting the 3 during the playoffs, in particular the series against Indiana. 28-22, Rockets on top. Orlando only 7 of 23 shooting in the first quarter. Nice pass from Drexler, setting up Brown. Houston 12 for 25 from the floor in the first quarter. Here's Ryan Shaw spinning his way. Ryan Shaw, who had an excellent all-around game on Wednesday, able to convert on his first field goal. Sam Cassell draws the foul. The
Well, Clyde Drexler on this little screen roll situation. You don't see too many players roll to the basket anymore, but Chucky Brown, not an outside shooter, so he goes to the rim. And Brian Shaw, who has been very aggressive offensively, 5 for 12 in game 1. He's looking to take it to Sam Cassell, who vowed after only playing 11 minutes in game 1 to come out and be a factor in game 2.
I'm surprised that Orlando looks so shaky at this point. They're down 7. But they really haven't gotten any rhythm. This is a team that should be playing with more anger, more rage, and looser right now. Ahmad talked about it, looseness in the locker room beforehand. That has not translated to loose play on the court.
And Orlando in a situation here, should they lose tonight, they're facing the next 3 games, conceivably the next 3 in Houston. Clyde Drexler back in after departing following his second personal foul. Sam Cassell waving Chucky Brown out of the way, clearing it out. Cassell going at Shaw, and then set up Brown. That's a traveling violation. And for more on the Orlando situation, let's go to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, Brian Hill doing that quarterback, telling his team they're giving up too many fast breaks, too many second shots, but more importantly, they're too laid back. It feels like the Rockets are playing with much more energy than they are. They've got to be more aggressive on both ends of the court. Marv?
About exactly what you guys were talking about. And off the steal, Cassell tripped up. So Sam Cassell fouled on the play, took the hit from Dennis Scott, extending the foot.
Shaq has given up the ball here with no double team. Wait, let something happen. Houston off to the races on poor passing. Shaq has been passing brilliantly in the series to date.
Well, this is what Sam Cassell does so well, whether it be in the open court or in the half court, has the ability to get into the lane and create plays for himself or other people.
Olajuwon, and Hakeem has taken over. 16 points for Olajuwon. Rockets leading by 10, and thus far tonight they have not done it with a 3-point shot. O'Neal, Shaw on the recovery, and he's turned back. Here comes Cassell. Crowd wanted a foul. Drexler behind the back for Brown. Kept denied by Morey. The Rockets on every loose ball in this first half. And now a foul charged to the Magic. It's on Turner, his third.
Hakeem still not going to the turn and face. Shaq flat-footed, not pushing out, no contact, and then gets it done in the defensive end as well. Hakeem Olajuwon with the patience, waits, playing with a couple fouls.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And by Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth.
Well, Magic fever is everywhere in Orlando. Horace Grant's goggles making its way to the Earful Tower at Disney World. And over at Universal Studios, King Kong has opted for a Magic's jersey. And I'm told the shirt size was off the chart. 200XL, I believe.
I'm sure Brian Hill would like to know if he can play some defense, because that's what's missing right now for the Orlando Magic, and this crowd is about as quiet as we've heard them. Now, it's been very loud, and it's loud tonight, but they're looking for something to get excited about. But on the other team, the Houston Rockets continue to shove the ball down your throat and get fast break after fast break. It's hard for the home crowd to get excited. So the Magic are going to have to score a couple hoops and then dig in defensively.
I misspoke earlier. Hakeem only has one foul. The excitement of his defensive wizardry just confused me totally.
And a hand-checking foul is called.
Foul number 10, Sam Cassell.
It's on Sam Cassell.
His first team foul.
12-point Rocket lead. Let's check in with Hannah Storm. Hannah?
Well, needless to say, Marv, Rudy Tomjanovich is delighted at the way the Rockets are hitting the boards. That's what he pounded into them before the game tonight. He says you guys have great hustle on the boards. They had a 6-rebound edge going into that timeout, Marv.
All right, Hannah, and a foul is called a region on Drexler, and that is his first.
Well, Nick doing the wise thing here, putting the pressure on Drexler with 2 personal fouls, just trying to get in the lane, which Nick, when he does that and thinks about just nothing but get in the air, just get in the air and get over your defender, he's an effective offensive player, but he got a bonus on the play.
So Nick Anderson on the line for the first time since missing the 4 on Wednesday night. Nick Anderson, a 70% free throw shooter during the regular season. He said there was nothing he felt wrong with the release, only his concentration level he felt it slipped badly. He also said he felt he choked, which you rarely hear someone admit to.
Well, Nick, who is normally very placid and poker face, he started to laugh, kind of a nervous laughter to himself after the 3rd one, and it almost looked like at that point his mind had taken over.
36-25, Houston. We are early in the second. Open shot for Cassell, hits a 3, and for the Rockets, it's their first from downtown.
Well, now, because the Magic have to come down and double team, with Shaq having the 2 personal fouls, this will open up 3-point shooting opportunities for the Rockets.
Shaquille, who has been very quiet. And Shaw's pass intercepted by Horry.
You commented earlier, Marv, about the defense of Robert Horry. He is playing inspired basketball, maybe inspired by that Detroit Piston uniform he hangs up in his bedroom.
Yes, a couple of years ago, the trade was actually completed with Horry sent to Detroit. Scott, and rebounded by Horry. Actually, the deal was made last season, and then Horry failed the physical, and the trade was sent back the other way as Chucky Brown sends it down for a 41-25 Houston lead. And as it turned out, a terrific deal for the Rockets. Robert Horry, a major factor in the championship of a year ago, and he has really come on here in the playoffs this season. And the Magic having all kinds of shooting problems. Brian Shaw is now 1 of 5. The Magic missing their last 6 shots.
Magic are flat-footed defensively, and it's carrying over to the offensive end. Ryan Hill might have to think about Anthony Bowie and Donald Boyle to bring in a little energy to the Magic right now.
What about Penny Hardaway?
Well, he's about to come in.
What's he doing on the bench when they're down by 16? Sam Cassell finding the range. We expected him to be absolutely solid tonight after the quiet night in limited minutes.
And terrific penetration by Sam Cassell, which he does so well, and it's just other people have to spot up.
Houston up by 16. A 23-7 run by the Rockets. Hardaway. He was stopped by Olajuwon. 41-27 Houston.
Patience by Hakeem, playing with just the 1 foul. Had 1 good play, wasn't in position to make another.
Brown from Ellie. Nice look from Mario Ellie.
Double team again, causing that opening. The big man, Horace Grant, coming down to double big on Olajuwon, but crisp passing results in the easy one inside. Well, Penny Hardaway does an outstanding job anytime he puts up a shot, usually close to the basket, of getting his own miss. Here on the block by Olajuwon, Hardaway stays with it all the way, turns into an easy hoop, and then the double team inside. First by Horace Grant, and the ball swung out and around. Shaquille not able to recover in time.
Well, the Houston Rockets gunning for their 7th straight road win, which would set an NBA playoff record. Why the success on the road? We talked about that with Houston Rockets coach Rudy Tomjanovich.
first of all, I think the teams that went on the road have to be good defensive teams, and we are a good defensive team. And I think we focus a lot better on the road. You're there, the respect factor for the other team, and just the crowd just lets you know that, hey, you got a task here and it's not going to be easy. And it seems like when we're in that mode that, well, we got to survive this tough situation, we're very good.
And the drive by Hardaway, so the Rockets now lead 43-29. Also with 8 road wins in the playoff run, the Rockets have equaled an NBA record. The 1981 Rockets, the only team to win 8 on the road in the playoffs. The rejection, but Olajuwon is there for the follow, and Hakeem has 18.
That looked like that ball was taken off the glass for a goaltend. Question for Orlando, Shaquille O'Neal, he's only taken 8 shots, just made 2 of them. He's got to get more aggressive and fight his way, maybe repost after he kicks it out.
And Shaquille has gone 13 minutes without scoring. Anderson got stripped, and Cassell on the ball.
Nice knock loose by Olajuwon as both he and Shaq went after it. And the Magic shooting just 32% from the field and only 6 offensive rebounds. Shaq doesn't necessarily have to score on the post-up. He's got to get to the offensive glass.
Olajuwon with 20 points. Olajuwon is 9 of 14 from the field. He has only 1 personal foul, while O'Neal just 2 of 8, and now has not scored the last 14 minutes.
Hakeem has had 3 monster games, almost perfect games in the playoffs this year. Utah game 1, San Antonio game 2 and 5. He's on pace to match those efforts in those games as he goes right to the baseline here. No waiting, no hesitation. And for that shot, there is no defense.
Chucky Brown called for the foul, new 24 for the Magic. Spinning. It counts, and the foul.
Well, it was obvious when Brian Hill talked to his team about during the last timeout. Hey, guys, the shots are not falling from the perimeter. Drop that head and get to the hole. This is the 2nd time that Hardaway has gone to the basket since the timeout. Nick Anderson went once before and got stripped, but Hardaway is so creative once he gets into the lane.
If they're not going to allow hand checking, if they're not going to allow the defense to put any hands on a guy coming to the hoop, you can't just let him run over your chest like that. That looks like an offensive foul for me.
Houston by 15. 5 minutes left in the first half. Cassell springing loose. Ellie saved that. Horry for 3. Robert Horry. 9 points for Horry. That's his first from downtown. Here's Scott and answer. Olajuwon on the rebound.
Why doesn't that ball get dumped down to Shaq? He'll kick it out. He's passing beautifully. It shouldn't be just thrown up right away.
Well, it looks like there's a tendency right now. Whoever gets the ball is going to try to get the Magic back into the game themselves. It doesn't work that way. You got to do it defensively, and then you got to do it as a team at the offensive end.
And Hardaway had nowhere to go. He thought he had someone with him, and gives it right back.
Houston's ball movement has been superb throughout. Getting in the air, finding guys, and Ellie's just touching it over Horry all the time in the world. Net.
The Rockets by 18. Cassell. Beautiful move by Sam Cassell, who has 7 points.
And his outstanding play, not only the 7 points, but his penetration, pretty good defense, is keeping Kenny Smith on the bench.
A 20-point lead, biggest of the night. Shaquille O'Neal draws the foul.
Sam Cassell, so quiet, just the 11 minutes, but now showing his post moves. So valuable for guards to be able to do everything, deliver his own version of the jump hook.
Both Kenny Smith and Sam Cassell have a friendly competition going. They never know which one. They always know Kenny Smith is going to start. They never really are sure who is going to finish because Rudy Tomjanovich isn't sure. He's going to go by feel in every game. But the happiest guy on the Rocket bench in game 1 was Sam Cassell when Kenny Smith was nailing those 3-pointers.
But that's what being a team is all about. That's Shaq's first points in the last 14 minutes.
And Shaquille is 4 for 4 from the line.
Here's a trapping defense.
And Scott trying to strip Horry. Called for the foul. And for Dennis Scott, his second.
His second, 14th foul.
Well, the Magic trying to shake up the Rockets a little bit, give them a different look. Setting up the little 2-2-1, more or less a delay trap. Not necessarily looking for a steal there, just looking to break up rhythm, but Dennis Scott got caught reaching in.
3:43 to go in this first quarter. Rockets with an 18-point lead. Welcome back to Orlando. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report with Bob Costas. Talk with Nick Anderson, Peter Vesey, and a one-on-one chat with Nick Anderson coming off the missed free throws in Game 1 on Wednesday night. This crowd has been quieted by the Rocket barrage in the first half. And Bill, we talked about this at the start. You were looking for some adjustments on the part of Hakeem Olajuwon. He's certainly done it off the boards in contrast to what took place in Game 1.
He's on his way to one of those magical performances. He's got to keep it going. The game's far from over. Houston, of course, was in this same situation just Wednesday night.
Olajuwon and rebounded by Anderson. Yes, Orlando led by 20 at one stretch in the first half. And the Rockets came from behind, and then Orlando had to come back from a deficit. O'Neal for Hardaway, eluding Horry. Hardaway, and the Magic looking for a goaltend. A foul was called. No indication on the goaltend. Apparently just a shooting foul.
A terrific block by Hakeem coming from the far weak side. That might have dipped down. That might have dipped down.
That's about as close as you can get either way. Obviously, you know what the home crowd thinks about that. I think Brian Hill right now is looking for his team to come out of this second quarter, go into halftime with something positive to hold on, as Brian Hill's questioning why that was not a goaltend. A little interesting switch defensively. Robert Horry, an outstanding, very tall defender at 6'10", has been guarding Hardaway now.
Keeping Hardaway out of the post, but allowing him to drive. I don't think they're reposting Shaq enough. Inside, outside, then back in.
Anthony Bowie is on the floor. He is now guarding Sam Cassell. Olajuwon. And Bowie with the rebound. 2:45 remaining in this first half. Anderson's pass almost ticked off. Horry could not control it.
You know, sometimes you say, as a coach, you say to your team, why don't we aim for Robert Horry? Because they might miss him, because he looks like he knows where every pass is going. He has done a terrific job jumping into passing lanes.
Was that your coaching?
Once in a while. I used to say that a lot with Michael Jordan.
Shaquille O'Neal with a strong move, doing it against Charles Jones. 52-37 Rockets.
Great passers, Marv. They don't even see the defenders out there. All they see is guys who are wide open all the time.
Foul committed by Bowie.
Shaq just too strong, just backing in. Charles Jones, nothing he can do except grab him. Charles Jones, certainly with fouls to give, only 2 in the game.
And Sam Cassell with his 8th point.
A quiet night for Horace Grant. Just 2 points and 2 rebounds.
Yes, Harrison in 15 points and 16 rebounds. Rockets lead by 17.
Now Ellie's on Hardaway.
And Hardaway goes at Ellie, eluding Olajuwon for the reverse. Anthony Hardaway has been the Orlando offense in the second quarter. Houston now up by 15.
And you have to take it wherever you can get it. They might as well keep going to Hardaway. Then that's when Shaq should get active on the offensive board.
And a reach-in call. Horace Grant looking to poke the ball away.
Mario Ellie, a fine defender in his own right. Not quite as tall as Hardaway or Robert Horry, but he just gets beat on quickness there on the drop step and spin. Beautiful move by Hardaway, and then knows he's got two shot blockers in there. Olajuwon and Charles Jones lurking around, so he does the wise thing of using the rim as a shield, take it to the other side.
Another indication of how great Anthony Hardaway is. Hakeem Olajuwon, a two-time Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA. If anybody could stop a play, it would have to be him. And that was a layup he got.
Rockets 56, the Magic 39. Just under 2 minutes remaining in this first half. Game 2 of the best of 7 NBA Finals Series, and the Rockets looking to go up 2 games to nothing as they shift the scene back to Houston for Game 3 on Sunday. Another illegal defense. That's the third such call on Houston. So another technical foul, and Hardaway will go to the line.
Well, Rudy Tomjanovich with this 17-point lead is staying with Charles Jones on Shaquille. They come down and double team right away or when he puts it on the floor. But this is Rudy is using his time to try to preserve some effort on the part of Hakeem Olajuwon, who's just having an incredible offensive game.
Hardaway has 15 points, 11 of the 15 here in the second quarter.
Shaq is off the box now. Now you back off, make him shoot the jumper.
And he does. Not able to hit. Run down by Ellie.
Wow, I'm surprised Ellie stopped there. He had a 2-on-1 situation with Robert Horry, and he pulled back.
Sometimes you get too conservative out there with a big lead.
Cassell for 3. Sam Cassell is now 3 of 3 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line for 12 points. So the Rockets got the scoring from Kenny Smith in Game 1, and tonight it has been Sam Cassell out of the backcourt. And illegal defense call number 4 on Houston.
Well, these three-point shots for the Rockets being set up by the double team inside on Hakeem Olajuwon. Bowie dropping down, leaving Cassell wide open. Nobody close enough to rotate. And the reason for the double team now, after Shaq started the game trying to play one-on-one, is Shaq has 2, and you just cannot take the gamble. Although Olajuwon has been most effective with the turnaround jumper, but he's always a threat to get into the lane. Little head fake, gets in the air, and draw you another foul.
And a substitution, Pete Chilcutt making his first appearance of the night. Hakeem Olajuwon departing with 22 points. So the bench scoring, that's been a combination of Cassell and Brown.
Charles Jones. Goodness gracious. This guy was out of basketball.
Cassell, Sam Cassell with 14 points and a 20-point lead for the Magic. I should say for the Rockets. And as Anderson went to the hoop, ball knocked out of his hands.
Robert Horry once again. How many players for Houston are playing terrific defense tonight? He poked that ball away, running back so hard.
And apparently a problem with the clock. They are readjusting. Sam Cassell with all 14 of his points in the second quarter. Hakeem Olajuwon with 22 points in his 21 minutes.
This is a 2-for-1 shooting situation for the Magic right now to play the percentages. 36 seconds left in the second quarter. They'd like to get a good shot up in the next 5 or 6 seconds.
And they adjusted to 20 on the 24.
They'd like to get a good shot, period.
The inbound's broken up. And we're hearing some boos from this very partisan crowd. A foul is called. It's on Bowie.
Mark, this is exactly what happened in Game 5, San Antonio, Houston, the Western Conference Finals. Houston goes into San Antonio and blows them out wire to wire. The fans booing and everything. But the Orlando Magic, one of the game's truly great offensive teams, with just 41 points in the first half.
I think a lot of people will point to the fact that this is a carryover, a reaction to the very tough loss in Game 1, and maybe the Magic feeling down and not feeling good about themselves. I don't buy that. We still have a long way to go in this game. They're just playing very poorly and very flat right now. But the way this playoffs have gone for all teams, there's no carryover, there's no trends. Every game is an entity unto itself.
And you'd think they'd be playing with anger and rage and let's pound them down. And they're not doing that. They are getting hammered themselves.
And the Magic looking to hold for a final shot, 10 on the 24. A 4-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. Shot clock at 3. Hardaway for 3. Final seconds of the half. And Cassell pops it. So the Rockets with a 63-41 lead on the Magic here in Orlando. Hakeem Olajuwon with 22 points. Sam Cassell with 16 all in the second quarter. And Shaquille O'Neal only 3 of 10 for 10 points. Bob Costas and the Prudential halftime report coming up in a moment.
You're watching the NBA Finals on NBC.
Welcome back to Orlando. Marv Albert with Bill Walton and Matt Gukas. And Orlando in a desperate situation, trailing by 22 points. Bill, from Houston's point of view, what do they do to try and maintain a 22-point lead on the road?
They want to bottle what they had going there and just don't even look at the scoreboard. Don't think this game is over. Orlando's going to come charging back, play each possession as if it's the last one, and most importantly, give it to Hakeem Olajuwon each and every time because he'll get it done.
And, Matt, there does not seem to be a sense of urgency on the part of the Magic. What does Brian Hill have to do here for the second half?
Well, you don't get to the finals unless you can play some good defense. They have to get alive defensively, get themselves going, and get this crowd involved in the ballgame. And we saw in Game 1 how important the three-point shot is. The Magic, a very capable three-point shooting team.
All right, a check at the Miller Lite halftime statistics. Tremendous shooting by the Rockets, led by Hakeem. 23 of 43, 54%. In the first half for the Magic, only 14 of 41, 34% from the field. And off the bench, the Rockets with a 26-5 advantage. Sam Cassell with 16 points in the first half. Let's go to Ahmad Rashad with Orlando coach Brian Hill. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. Brian, I guess the key word here is energy or lack of it on your part. How do you get them fired back up?
Well, I think the energy's there. I think obviously we have to come out and do a better job defensively and pick up all over the floor. But I thought, maybe after losing Game 1, everybody kind of took it upon themselves to get us back in and win this game right away. And we kind of got away from what we do as a team, and that's what we have to get back to.
All right, good luck in the second half.
Thanks, Marv.
All right, back to you, Hannah.
Here with Rockets coach Rudy Tomjanovich, you have a 22-point lead. How do you keep it going and maintain that focus and intensity in the second half, Coach?
Well, we just have to stay aggressive. We know that they're going to probably come out and press. We got to get in our press offense. Be aggressive on that, but don't get into a helter-skelter game.
Okay, have a good second half.
Thank you, Hannah.
Marv?
So it's a 63-41 lead for the Rockets as we head to the second half here in Orlando. Well, in the history of the NBA Finals, the largest deficit at halftime that was overcome to win a game was back in 1948. The Baltimore Bullets trailing the Philadelphia Warriors 41-20 and came back to win it, although they were down by 21 at the half. Orlando's biggest halftime deficit at home this season was only a margin of 9 at the hands of the New Jersey Nets, and they came back to beat the Nets in that one. And one other number to throw at you, the largest halftime lead in a finals game, 30. That was the Memorial Day Massacre. The Boston Celtics going up against the LA Lakers. Hardaway continuing where he left off in the second quarter at 12 of his 16 points in the second quarter, and it's now 63-43, a 20-point lead. Olajuwon, and back tap handled by Ellie.
Well, we saw in game one, the Magic came out as the flat team in the third quarter, and the Rockets took advantage of it, leading by a big margin. We'll see who it is in this game, if anybody.
Hakeem Olajuwon was the high man with 22 in the first half. Olajuwon. Shaquille O'Neal with only 10 points in the half. Shaquille with 2 fouls. And Hakeem with only 1. O'Neal getting position. 63-45 Rockets.
People just don't realize how big this man is. He's 7'1", 300 pounds. I'm a big guy. Hakeem Olajuwon's a very big guy.
Horry coming up short. That was intended for Grant. Drexler. 3-on-1. Drexler trying to finish it off. And a foul. It's a block. Blocking foul on Hardaway.
Well, the Magic had it going with 3 straight stops to start the third quarter. But Bill, as you pointed out, so big. And when he plants himself in the lane, Hakeem Olajuwon is extremely quick. He can't even get around there. It's too big a body. And a fast break situation where the Magic very slow getting back defensively as Clyde Drexler able to draw contact. A little bit of a defensive switch for the Rockets to start the third quarter. Drexler on Dennis Scott, who relies primarily on the perimeter game, and they figured Nick Anderson will be trying to drive and slash more after having a very quiet first half.
That fast break set up by beautiful spacing by the Rockets, and Kenny Smith attacking the basket and hitting the man Drexler on the run behind the ball.
20-point Rocket lead. Minute 40 gone by in the third. Horace Grant trying to get into it offensively. And O'Neal and Olajuwon involved, and a loose ball foul is called. It's on Olajuwon. That's his second.
Well, Shaq has the right idea. He doesn't like that call at all, but Shaq has the right idea as far as getting to the offensive board as he just takes up position on this Horace Grant miss, as Hakeem trying to hold him off, and hold is exactly what he did, although Hakeem doesn't agree.
You get thrown to the ground and you get called for the foul?
Anderson with a post-up move. Rebounded by Grant, and a loose ball foul against the Rockets. And Hugh Hollins with the call on Robert Horry. That's his first.
The foul number is 17, Mario Ellie.
We'll check that. Mario Ellie called on the foul.
We thought Nick Anderson would come out big tonight, just 1 point.
Anderson with a strong move, and that's a goaltender. The basket will count. So for Anderson, it is his first field goal.
And Robert Horry shaken up on the play as he hurt his left ankle or left leg on that goaltend by Olajuwon.
18-point Rocket lead as they try to trap Kenny Smith. Smith and Drexler at the guards. Olajuwon, Horry, Ellie up front. Grant rebounds. Scott on the hesitation dribble. Dennis Scott with an unusual shot for Dennis. It's a 16-point lead. Now the Rockets want to talk it over with the Magic showing some signs. .22 remaining. In the third quarter, you're watching the NBA on NBC.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by the Pepsi-Cola Company, who reminds you that nothing else is a Pepsi. By Chrysler Plymouth and your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers. And by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good.
The Orlando Magic keying on Hakeem Olajuwon, opening the half with 0 for 3 shootings. Dennis Scott out in the lane in transition. Hakeem can't make a defensive play. Playing with 2 fouls himself, Hakeem. Magic starting to fight their way back into it.
And Hakeem has missed his last 6 shots. At one point, he had hit 9 of 14. He's down 9 of 20 from the field. A 16-point Rocket lead. 8-2 run, as you see, by Orlando. Shot clock at 5. Drexler. Clyde Drexler with a post-up on Nick Anderson.
Terrific patience by Drexler after a good defensive poke by Nick Anderson. But Clyde took his time, didn't force anything, and took it to the hole, which is what the Magic are doing now.
Hardaway off the crossover is rejected. He thought he was fouled. He took a shot on the back of his head. Olajuwon. Ori for 3. Ori tried to draw the foul and hit the deck. Hugh Holland said, get up. Anderson for O'Neal. 67-51. Houston. A moment ago, Robert Horry came up with a steal, his 6th of the game, and that ties an NBA Finals record. 6 steals for Robert Horry. Kelly's pass saved by Drexler. And a travel called on Kenny Smith.
Orlando's defense has generated terrific offensive opportunities. The over-the-top pass, nothing Hakeem can do here. Perfect timing. He's frozen the defense. Shaquille O'Neal, impossible to stop in that situation.
O'Neal going at Olajuwon. And tiptoed by Grant. Lars Grant with only his 2nd field goal for the first time tonight. You get the feeling the Magic are playing with a sense of urgency, and it is urgent. They lose here, they're down 2-0 with the next 3 games coming up in Houston. Olajuwon after the pump. So Hakeem with his 10th bucket, he has 24, 69-53 Houston.
Strategy very simple for Orlando. Throw it into Shaq. Look to drive it at every opportunity, or something like that. Drive and kick.
And it's a 3-on-2 led by Drexler, leading Ellie. And he is fouled. So Mario Ellie will head to the line.
Shaquille O'Neal will power his way in. He's developing a hitch and a step through. Those moves, so beautiful, but allow the offensive rebounding angles when Ori comes over. Hakeem Olajuwon able to hit that step-out shot, something he has to do. So difficult to score on the big man Shaq inside.
Foul was called on Anderson. Mario Ellie. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. A very strong all-around game 1. Houston is now 18 of 19 at the foul line. They lead by 18 points. Here's the double on O'Neal.
Beautiful passing. Shaq never even looked at Horace, even though he knew he was there the whole time.
Well, they're coming with a small double team, and Shaq doesn't even see it, and it's a bad double team at that because he's able to split it.
Olajuwon. Hardaway with the rebound. 6.5 remaining in the 3rd. O'Neal, not a good shot. Came up with air. He was expecting contact.
And nobody wanted to run there. I think both teams a little bit tired right now.
Drexler is tackled.
Here's a double team. Shaq inside, but Kenny Anderson's going to come in. He's going to come and overrun the play, which is going to give Shaq a little bit of a look-see at Horace Grant coming into the basket area. But with Kenny Smith not being big, first of all, and giving that opening, that's an easy pass to Shaquille O'Neal to Horace Grant.
Foul was called on Shaquille, his 3rd. Clyde Drexler now 3 of 3 from the line. Houston has hit his last 17 foul shots. Clyde Drexler, born and raised in Houston, a star, of course, at the University of Houston, and now back in Houston with the Rockets. 17-point Rocket lead. A look away attempted by O'Neal. Smith. Ellie. And Ellie Ellie back to the line.
Horace Grant has got to catch this ball. He is too good a player. There's too much on the line. He'll slide down the lane when the double team goes. And Shaq almost has to ask him, where would you like it next time?
You don't like the hands. Watching Horace Grant, as much as I've seen him this year, he has terrific hands and generally will make that catch in close quarters. He either had that tipped or blocked or something. He didn't see it very well because normally he catches and finishes on that play.
74-55 Rockets. Just under 6 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Hardaway with his 15th and 16th point.
Somebody's got to get in Shaq's way to help out Hakeem. They know Hakeem's going for the block.
Ellie for three. Drexler on the tip. Clyde Drexler uncontested.
And Nick Anderson losing contact with Clyde Drexler, who is a very good rebounder and had his mind made up and read where that shot was coming off, and Nick lost contact.
So Orlando with a run, but Houston able to settle down, and they have a 76-57 lead with just under 5 minutes remaining in this third quarter.
They're really milking Drexler in this quarter.
And Clyde taking advantage, showing the fadeaway. He now has 13 points, 9 of the 13 in the third. Hardaway off the spin, missed the tip. And Horry pitches down to Ellie, who beats Grant down the floor. And that leads to a timeout called by Orlando.
Houston so alive on the glass, no box out. He's just getting in the air, not knowing where that ball's going, hoping it comes his way. The next time down, they realize the groove. He's in the rhythm jumper, fading all Houston's way at this point.
Well, back in mid-February, as it turns out, the trade of the season was pulled off between Portland and Houston. Clyde Drexler acquired for Otis Thorpe at the time. Houston players seemed very uncomfortable about the deal. We talked about that with Kenny Smith.
Well, I think everyone was a little uncomfortable. I think even the people who made the trade were uncomfortable with it at first. Just the fact that we knew what we had with OT. You know, we had won a championship with him. We didn't know what we could do with Clyde. So we knew Clyde was a great player, but great players don't always win championships. So that's what we were a little bit uncomfortable with. And, you know, I don't think it's not really him proving us wrong. We just didn't know.
But the game has changed since Shaq has taken over. You can no longer plan a team around strength. It's got to be around speed and quickness and agility, which is what the Houston Rockets are all about right now.
And Otis Thorpe was a very popular player amongst teammates. Horry on the deflection comes up with steal number 8. That is an NBA Finals record, and it ties an overall playoff record. 8 steals along with 8 rebounds for Horry. 80-57, the Rockets by 23 points with just under 4 minutes to go in the third. Shaquille O'Neal off the fake, and a foul is called on Houston.
Number 25, Robert Horry.
Well, Dennis Scott in a little screen roll situation with Shaquille O'Neal and Drexler and Olajuwon on the trap there. And Dennis Scott trying to go over instead of under in that situation. And that little deflection enabled Robert Horry to come through with the steal.
Well, Hakeem Olajuwon, as a center, is 10th in NBA history in steals. It's one of the most remarkable statistics that I've ever come across. His overall abilities, just absolutely incredible.
And again, a very nice stat line for Hakeem. He did have the cold spell, late second onto the third, but 10 of 22 from the field, 24 points, 10 rebounds. Well, Shaquille O'Neal has picked the wrong night to catch fire at the foul line. He's 6 for 6 at the line, but to this point it has not mattered. Olajuwon showing us the footwork.
Oh, he didn't realize how wide open he was on that little plant of the foot. Dropped that shoulder in there when he turned. He couldn't believe he was that wide open. He hesitated and still got it.
O'Neal. So Shaquille has 20 points. The Rockets lead 82-61.
But this crowd is stunned right now. They just can't believe what is happening.
Olajuwon to the fadeaway. 28 for Hakeem.
That's a heat check. Just throw it up.
And the outside official, Hugh Hollins, calling the foul on Cassell.
The last two moves for Hakeem. Get him going one way, come back the other, and get in the air. He throws in a little extra fake, I think, to regain his balance. And then the next time down, this is just wildness, throwing it up. And that is years and years of practicing that shot.
They double up on O'Neal. Pops it out to Hardaway for 3. Yes.
A terrific pass that time by Shaq, because Sam Cassell in his double team took away the closer pass. Shaq read it and made the diagonal pass to the open Penny Hardaway.
84-64. Houston with 2:20 left in the third. Ellie back for Olajuwon, and a travel is called. Won't count.
Well, Shaq has been seeing a lot of double teams. It normally doesn't matter when a little man comes, but Sam Cassell got on the high side there, thinking that Shaq has been in the rhythm of throwing that particular pass, and Shaq found the open one.
Hakeem still with 2 fouls.
2 minutes. Hakeem with 3. Hardaway for 3. Yes. Well, he's hit 2 straight from downtown, and the Rocket lead is now 17.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway carrying the major part of the load offensively. I don't know if they can do it by themselves. They're going to need some help from other people like Dennis Scott, like Nick Anderson, and maybe Brian Shaw.
And to this point, they have not gotten the scoring from Scott, Grant, and Anderson. Shot clock at 5. Now to 1. Olajuwon. Rebounded by Shaw. That was deflected out by the Rockets. It'll be Orlando ball.
And Sam Cassell arguing the call with referee Eddie Rush, saying that Brian Shaw threw that ball behind the backboard and hitting a post there, but Eddie Rush ruling that the ball was deflected, and that's why it goes over to Orlando.
O'Neal able to power his way. It's a 15-point Houston lead as we come up on 1 minute left in the third, and Shaw is called for the foul on Cassell.
Shaq starting to pick up now, a game and a half into playing against Hakeem, the things that work so well for Hakeem. He's passing, finding his open teammates who are spacing the floor beautifully, and then the drop step, the fake jump hook, the drop and up and under move. So many moves, so much power. Unstoppable.
A 13-4 run by the Magic. Orlando over the limit, so Cassell at the line. He's been perfect, 7 for 7 at the free throw line, and involved in a conversation with several members of the Magic. Jim Turner will provide a rest for Shaquille O'Neal. Hakeem Olajuwon was replaced by Charles Jones. Hakeem with 28 points. Shaquille with 22. Rockets 22 of 24 from the line, but equally or more surprising, Orlando 12 of 14. O'Neal 6 of 6 at the line tonight. We're just under 1 minute remaining in this third quarter. Hardaway played by Ellie. Grant, yes. 85-71. It's now a 14-point lead. Houston is led by as many as 23.
Now it's Clyde Drexler and Sam Cassell's turn to step up and do something while Hakeem catches his breath.
Cassell for three. Sam Cassell doing it right in the face of Penny Hardaway. These two guys play ball together all summer long in Houston. They know each other's moves very well. Hardaway backs it up against Ellie. Shot clock at 5. Sure shot blocked by Ori with 4 on the 24. 8 seconds to go in the third quarter.
The Rockets team defense so aware every time Penny Hardaway gets in an isolation situation, they are going to come over and double team and try to make somebody else beat them.
Shot clock down to 2. Anderson had to force it. And it's a 24-second violation of the ball not hitting the rim. So Houston will take over with 4 2/10 seconds to go in the quarter.
Cassell or Drexler on the run. Don't get it standing still. Set a pick for him in the open court. Plenty of time to get up.
Yeah. And apparently they have just readjusted the clock. 5 seconds put on. Cassell racing across. Cassell. What a shot by Sam Cassell. It will count. So Cassell with a 3 and then a 2 in the race against the clock. After 3 quarters, Rockets 90 and the Magic 71. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Every time it appears Orlando is about to make a run, they close to within 14. The Rockets have an answer, and it was Sam Cassell in the closing minute or so of this third quarter to get 6 big points, and this very difficult off-balance shot by Sam Cassell, who is playing like a man who never wants to play 11 minutes as he did in Game 1. He is really keeping Kenny Smith on the bench with some spectacular basketball.
The beauty of Houston is that they're a real team. They seem to always have the ball in the right guy's hand. There's no selfishness, there's no jealousy. Hakeem when he's out there, Cassell when he's on a roll, Kenny Smith, whoever's hot, give him the ball.
Fourth quarter underway. Sam Cassell hit by Brian Shaw.
Number 20, Brian Shaw.
Sam Cassell with 22 points. Playoff career high, 31. Game 1 against the Suns in the earliest series back in May. Sam Cassell, 6 of 8 from the field, 7 of 8 from the line. Illegal defense.
Warning against the Magic.
That's the warning against the Magic. The first violation for Orlando.
One of the things about the Orlando Magic, when they're playing well, you see the sweat just pouring off of Shaq. Right now, that man is completely dry. They're behind by 19 points.
A sweat check. Ori for 3. And rebounded by O'Neal. Shaquille with 22 points, 9 rebounds, but has not been a dominating factor. And Hakeem is getting set to re-enter. Foul is called. Jones with the push.
Bill, that's that foul you were looking for in the first half from Charles Jones. When Shaq gets his overwhelming presence in the lane against the much smaller Charles Jones, there's really nothing he can do except let him dunk the ball or foul him, and in this case not give him a 3-point play.
Look at the good footwork of Shaquille in there, positioning himself, using his body to position and screen off a very large man, Charles Jones, in his own right. Dwarf.
And this is really where Shaq has improved his game over these 3 years in the league, is knowing how to use that body and knowing how to stop in the lane and get defenders in off-balance position.
And that's the first miss at the line for Shaquille. He hit 7 straight. 90-72, 18 points Rocket lead. They have led by as many as 23. Olajuwon to the fadeaway. And confusion between Turner and Shaw, and fortunate that it was deflected out by Cassell.
Orlando going to a trap, trying to speed up the tempo a little bit, not let Houston be so deliberate, yet they were still able to get the ball to their main man, Hakeem.
Here's Shaw for three. Yes. Ryan Shaw cuts it to 15. And here's pressure being shown by the Magic on the inbound. Rockets able to handle it well.
Normally, the Magic are at their best with pressure defense when Horace Grant is on the floor. He's getting a rest now, but here's a steal.
Shaw's pass batted away, recovered by Turner. Hardaway looking for the three. Yes. Penny Hardaway with his third from downtown, and it is suddenly only a 12-point Houston lead. 2 minutes gone by in the fourth. They double up on Olajuwon. Robert Horry with 11 points. What an all-around performance by Horry. 8 steals, 8 rebounds, 11 points. 92-78, Houston. And the foul is called as Jones and Horry were trying to stay in front of O'Neal. It's called on Jones. His fourth.
A fast break situation for the Magic, and Penny Hardaway off on that wing. The little head fake gets rid of Charles Jones, and then Penny has the presence of mind to make sure he gets both feet behind the line to nail the three-pointer.
Red Dog presents tonight's NBA Finals moment.
And tonight we look at one of the all-time greats. Back in 1985, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar led the Lakers to the NBA title. The Lakers defeating the Celtics in 6 games. The 38-year-old Abdul-Jabbar named MVP of the finals, becoming the oldest player to ever gain that honor. And 2 years later, at age 40, he became the oldest player to win an NBA championship. In recognition of this NBA Finals moment, the NBA and Red Dog will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. It is a 14-point Rocket lead. They led by as many as 23. 9:35 remaining in the fourth quarter. Brian Shaw feeds Shaquille O'Neal.
There's the repost.
And O'Neal is fouled. Olajuwon came over to help out. But the foul on Drexler, which is his fourth.
Well, one of the big reasons why Olajuwon does not have the initial responsibility on Shaq right now, because he's looking to help out, as he does right here, and also to give him a little bit of rest from the pounding and the banging that you have to take when you're trying to keep Shaq from establishing low post position.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal hit his first 7 at the line, and he's missed his last 2. And Bill, a sweat check, he's beginning to perspire. What does that tell us?
That's always a good sign.
Yes.
I love the way you watch the way Hakeem move across the floor with knees flexed, just like a cat coming for that ball, even though he didn't get it.
Orlando trying to trap. Rockets able to handle it. 13 points. Houston lead.
Hannah Storm told us that the offense is going through Clyde Drexler now.
Clyde threw it out for the hot man, Sam Cassell. He is 4 of 5 from downtown. Another 3 for Sam. 95-79 Houston. It seems every time Orlando has been able to make a run, it's Cassell who has spoiled matters, but O'Neal is right back. Shaquille is 26. 95-81 Rockets.
I got to think Brian Hill's thinking about getting Horace Grant back into the ballgame to let him be the double-teamer so the Magic can get Hope out on the three-point shooters much quicker.
Olajuwon. A deep shot by Hakeem.
That ball, though, was saved. The play made by Charles Jones, who tipped the deflected pass right over to Hakeem for a rhythm shot.
fall foul against the
Number
Rockets.
27, Charles Jones.
It's on Jones, his 5th.
Well, Drexler on the post-up and the penetration, drawing Brian Shaw down there, and that's what's leaving Sam Cassell wide open and nobody rotating because of the particular alignment that the Rockets have on the floor. They can't get out there quick enough. But if you come with a big man, a Jeff Turner or a Horace Grant, then you have your smaller, quicker people able to get out to the shooters.
The switch is made. Hakeem is back on Shaq. No difference, though.
Rockets with a 97-83 lead. 7:45 remaining, 4th quarter. Mario Elias getting set to return for Houston. Shot clock at 5. Shot clock at 1. Cassell again. An extraordinary performance by Sam Cassell, who, as we touched on earlier, played only 11 minutes in game number 1 as Kenny Smith had the hot hand, and he has kept Kenny Smith on the bench. Hardaway with 29, 14-point lead. Anderson with the intercept. Shaw for 3, yes. It is down to 11. Rockets 99, the Magic 88. They double up on Cassell. Olajuwon, rebound Anderson, and Cassell called for the reach-in foul.
Well, now the aggressiveness of the Orlando defense getting the Rockets out of sorts here. Sam Cassell has played brilliantly, making one of his rare mistakes in this game. A little bit of a panic situation out of the backcourt. He thought he had Drexler alone there, but the quickness of Nick Anderson to get that steal, and then the wide open Brian Shaw to bring the Magic to within 11.
6:41 remaining in the 4th. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow, number 1 is on the line when Sanchez Vicario faces Graf in the ladies' final. Sunday, American Michael Chang meets Thomas Muster in the men's final. The French Open on NBC.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Midas, the Midas way, the way it should be. And by Reebok. Come see how the game is played on Planet Reebok.
Well, tonight, following your local news, it's the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and Jay's guests include Reggie Miller of the Indiana Pacers, and from the new movie Batman Returns, actor Val Kilmer, plus a special report from our Ahmad Rashad here in Orlando. That's the Tonight Show with Jay Leno right after your local news here on NBC. 99-88, the Rockets by 11 as they have picked up the shooting in the 4th quarter after having big problems in the first half. Nick Anderson at the line, 1 of 2 tonight, and continues to have his difficulties. His mom, Alberta, rooting Nick on. Well, he's 2 of 4 from the line, and the Rockets lead by 10.
Houston is getting dangerously close to playing too conservatively and looking at the clock.
Anderson got a piece, but it was recovered by Horry.
And the trap is being effective. It's making the Rockets take a long time to do this. Get the ball to Olajuwon.
Shot clock at 4. Now to 1. Cassell. This time not able to do it. Olajuwon kept it alive. And the outside official, Dan Crawford, blowing the whistle. Apparently a timeout was called. The Rockets able to call a 20-second timeout.
I'm not a big fan of this tactic, but at this time, late in the game, they still have plenty of timeouts left. Hakeem, so quick to the ball, slides inside. Shaq with no box out. Not even any contact at all. Houston still with 4 full timeouts. That's an appropriate time to use that strategy.
Well, you got the feeling that that's what Hakeem was trying to do, but Obviously, with two hands on the ball, he couldn't signal, and I don't know how referee Danny Crawford heard him calling a timeout, but he had to play all the way. It was a good play by Olajuwon. He felt he was in trouble on the floor in the lane. Robert Horry is giving the signal, and that's what Danny Crawford saw, which was right in front of him. So he didn't hear Olajuwon. I don't think he could have heard him in this building at this time.
Houston has 4 timeouts remaining. Orlando with 3 and a 20 as we come up on 6 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Cassell with the spin. And a foul is called. Sam Cassell hitting the floor once again.
You just fell down in disappointment. A beautiful one-on-one move. They're just isolated now. Hakeem a little tired. Drexler a bit tired himself. And Cassell just taking over the game. This is every player's dream to come in as a bench guy and just dominate. The whole flow is yours.
Well, the questions on Sam last year were, yes, he could get into the lane and create, but were his decisions always sound? Well, he had a terrific playoff run last year and a great finals. Again, this year, some decision problems throughout the regular season, but Rudy Tomjanovich has a lot of confidence in this young man and that he will make good decisions at crunch time.
29 for Cassell. Horace Grant has returned, replacing Jeff Turner, and Grant could not get it in and called for time.
A terrific defense by Houston, but careless play by the Orlando Magic, having to waste a valuable timeout to inbound the ball on a made free throw. Inexcusable.
So the timeout is used with just under 6 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Terrific weekend of tennis coming your way right here on NBC from the French Open tomorrow. 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon on the Pacific Coast. The women's final, the #1 ranking in women's tennis on the line when #1 of the world defending champion Arantxa Sanchez Vicario faces #2 Steffi Graf. And on Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, live coverage of the men's final as America's Michael Chang returns to the site of his greatest victory to face Thomas Muster, who has that 34-match winning streak on clay. The French Open. Tomorrow, the women's final starting at 3 o'clock Eastern. 101-89 Rockets. As Hardaway backs his way on Ellie. Anderson for 3. Yes. Nick Anderson with only his second field goal cuts it to a 9-point Houston lead. Rockets have led by as many as 23. Sam Cassell has accounted for 7 of the Rockets' 11 points in this fourth quarter. Shot clock at 5. Drexler to the crossover. And a foul charged to Anderson.
Nick Anderson out of the deep post up will hit this long 3, but then the Rockets really got a fortunate break as they wasted an entire shot clock possession and then got bailed out.
Rockets are over the limit. Orlando with 3 team fouls. What a move by Drexler. He has 15 points. 103-92, Houston. O'Neal getting down deep. Shaquille with 30. 103-94, Rockets.
Well, actually, Olajuwon can afford to be more aggressive defensively right now. Rudy Tomjanovich saved him a lot in this game by having Charles Jones guard Shaquille O'Neal. Olajuwon with only 2 fouls.
Again, Drexler going baseline, and he was fouled.
Clyde Drexler 2 straight times. They're isolating him. They're really picking out who's got the hot hand. Nick Anderson lets him go baseline. And the next time, the double team comes, but Nick Anderson not aware of it. Nobody told him, and he goes baseline again, and Shaq has to foul him. 4 fouls on the big man.
Well, on isolation plays, you like to send your offensive man to the middle because that's where your immediate help is. But when you get beat on the baseline, your teammates don't expect it. Shaq got there for the second one, but way too late, and that's why he committed the foul.
Houston is 25 of 28 at the line. Rockets 105. Magic 94. 4.5 to go in this fourth quarter. Grant from O'Neal. What a block. And then a foul. Robert Horry with the block.
Robert Horry has made some defensive plays. I'm talking to Robert yesterday. I asked him if he felt underappreciated in basketball as a defensive player. He said yes, because I think this guy is terrific. He can play head up on the ball, and he's playing somewhat out of position as a supposed big power forward. He's not that, but he does well. This is a terrific hustle play to come from behind and get Horace Grant, and then now Horace to the free throw line.
Robert Horry with a second block shot.
Magic substitution, number 3, Dennis!
Now Dennis Scott checking in, replacing Brian Shaw. Ryan Hill hoping that Dennis Scott can catch fire. Only 3 of 9 to this point.
And 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, but Dennis does not need a lot to get warmed up, and he's in there if Shaq gets double teamed to throw it back out.
So 105-96 lead for the Rockets.
This is a mismatch right here. Clyde can get to the hoop.
Shot clock at 5. Drexler with the spin. Olajuwon with 1 on the 24. Hakeem has 32. Anderson not able to hit. And a loose ball foul against the Magic. That's number 5 on Shaquille O'Neal.
Again, Houston playing things absolutely perfectly at the shot clock buzzer. But your point guard or your guard penetrating and spotting up your center. Hakeem Olajuwon, who's had to change his whole defensive rebounding philosophy, draws the foul there. Very little contact. I thought Hakeem mistimed his jump.
I thought the Rockets became very cautious early in this fourth quarter against that little trap, the 2-2-1 trap of Orlando, and consequently using up too much time, not getting a good shot. But when you have playmakers, big playmakers like Clyde Drexler, who can penetrate, find the open man, a guy that can finish with a shot like Hakeem Olajuwon, and Sam Cassell, who can create, you can get away with being a little cautious.
Hakeem 4 of 7 at the line. Rockets with an 11-point lead. Anderson got the step. Here's Scott for 3. Grant gets to the rebound. Anderson. Grant couldn't handle the pass. And a foul is called as Drexler dove for the loose ball. The foul against the Magic. It's on Grant, his 3rd.
To beat a really good team like the Orlando Magic, which one day will be a great team, you got to put it all on the line here. You got to be scrambling, diving. Hakeem is tapping balls out. Drexler is everywhere, going to the ground. This man wants his first NBA championship ring in 3 tries.
And Clyde 5 of 6 from the line. He has 17 points. He was foul plagued in the first half and has come on here in the second. However, the Rockets have missed their last 3 at the line. Rockets lead by 12. 3.5 left in this fourth quarter. Rockets hoping to take it back to Houston, up 2 games to nothing on the Magic. Anderson went to the left hand, gave up. O'Neal was able to put it back down. It's a 10-point Houston lead. And again, pressure by the Magic. Drexler looking for the room against Anderson. Able to bring it across.
And this has been working for the Rockets on a couple of possessions where Clyde just milking the clock, waiting for the shot clock to wind down before he makes something happen.
Olajuwon for Ellie. Shot clock down to 1. Looking for a foul on Horry. 2:40 remaining in the fourth. Hardaway coming up short. And they'll jump it up. Scott and Ellie on the tie-up.
Everybody scrambling to the floor for the loose ball. Everybody wanting to call a timeout, but nobody had the ball.
A moment ago, Nick Anderson able to get by Drexler, and when Hakeem comes over, nobody slides in front of Shaq. Maybe a slight piece of that ball, but the forced miss. They just let that dunk go, but Houston defense putting everything on the line tonight, knowing how important each and every victory is.
2:36 remaining in the fourth. We'll be right back.
You're watching NBC, the premier sports television network.
Welcome back to the arena in Orlando, where the Magic have pulled within 10 points of the Houston Rockets, and animated Rudy Tomjanovich in that timeout telling his team, stay with the Magic shooters, cover the perimeter. He says their three-pointers could get them back in this ball game. Marv?
Clyde had a 2:36 to go in the fourth, and a 10-point lead for the Rockets.
And Orlando will look for the threes when they show, but Brian Hill wants his team to keep attacking the basket. You can get three-point plays that way, and then if you're shut off, then kick it out to the open three-pointer.
Off the tie-up, a jump ball between Dennis Scott and Mario Elie. Controlled by Grant. O'Neal, and a foul is called. A pushing foul.
Number 34, Hakeem
Olajuwon. That is his fourth. Rockets over the limit. So O'Neal to the line.
And Hakeem Olajuwon can't believe that Hugh Hollins is calling that from all the way out in front. He's saying, if I pushed him with two hands, why didn't the baseline referee make that call? He's still talking to Hugh Hollins about it.
Shaq is 8 of 10 from the line. He's 14 of 19 the first two games of the series.
People talked all season long that free throws would be the Achilles heel to keep Orlando from winning the championship.
108-99. Again, pressure from the Magic. Horry looking for help and takes a timeout.
Well, you never want to pick the ball up in the backcourt unless you know you have a definite pass to make.
And Rudy Tomjanovich appears to be very upset with Sam Cassell. With Shaquille and Hakeem playing to a standoff. O'Neal with 33, Olajuwon with 32. This has been the story. Dennis Scott, Nick Anderson have not shot well. Sam Cassell has been on fire.
Well, balance is so important for both of these teams. Obviously, the Magic not getting it. Hardaway and O'Neal doing the lion's share of scoring, but Houston getting more balance.
Houston needs points. They can't rely on their defense shutting down this surging Magic team.
Rudy Tomjanovich upset with Sam Cassell as he was calling the timeout. He wanted Cassell to help out in the backcourt, with Robert Horry trapped and forced to call the timeout. And a foul with the shot clock down to 3. That's
The foul, number 1, Penny Hardaway.
That's a costly foul. Hardaway picks it up.
Penalty situation.
And with Orlando over the limit, Drexler to the line.
Well, Drexler backing down Penny Hardaway, who has to give ground. Horace Grant came over, but way too late in that situation, not really aware of the shot clock, and Clyde Drexler making something happen there out of nothing.
The Magic,
I like the switch that Brian Hill has made, putting Penny Hardaway on Clyde Drexler. I think Nick Anderson showed that he was having just too much trouble. Gave up the baseline time and time again.
And Drexler 8 of 10 from the line. He now has 20 points. 110-99. Rockets with the lead. We're down to 2 minutes to go in this fourth quarter.
2 minutes. Less than 2
got a
minutes
piece of
remaining
it
in the quarter.
Recovery and rebounded by Horry.
And that little deflection enabled Olajuwon to push Shaq just out that extra step or so, which made that jump hook more difficult.
They got Anderson back on Drexler.
Olajuwon. Back comes Anderson. Accelerated, took advantage, saw the opening. It's now to a 9-point Rocket lead.
Well, following the instructions, not just looking for the first 3 that's there. The Magic want to keep attacking the basket and then take the 3 on the kick out.
Dennis Scott trying to come up with that steal. and then deflected it out of bounds. It will be Houston ball.
Well, Nick, coast to coast out of the backcourt. Olajuwon so concerned with Shaquille O'Neal there, waiting for a possible pass-off, left the opening for Anderson.
Ryan Shaw checking in for Dennis Scott. Offensive, defensive shuttle being used by the Magic. Horry for Ellie, and the Rockets in no hurry to pump it up with a minute 15 remaining.
Remember, Marv, the Rockets were ahead 2-0 against San Antonio. Both road victories. They went home and lost 2 games.
O'Neal on the rebound, but the outlet stolen by Cassell.
They've got a foul now, I think.
A huge turnover, though, by Shaquille O'Neal on that outlet pass. Only a 9-point game, and the Rockets able to get it right back, and now Grant calls for the foul.
Well, Shaq had a crucial turnover coming down the stretch in game 1. Never seeing Sam Cassell lying in the weeds there. Put that out. Easy to pick off.
When you throw the outlet pass, don't throw it up the middle of the lane. Don't throw it cross court. Make the short outlet to your side of the floor.
Olajuwon now 5 of 8 from the line.
Well, now 3-point shots are imperative at this juncture, and you still look for penetration and the throw out, and the Magic will talk it over.
And Orlando 9 of 25 from downtown, and must go for the 3 with 51 seconds left. Later tomorrow, coverage of the French Open continues here on NBC Sports. 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 noon in the West. The women's final, the #1 ranking in women's tennis on the line. When #1 in the world and defending champion Arantxa Sanchez Vicario will go up against #2 Steffi Graf. That's tomorrow starting at 3 Eastern time. 51 seconds to go in this 4th quarter. Rockets lead 112-101. They're gunning for their 7th straight road win. It's been a remarkable stretch by the defending NBA champion Houston Rockets. And the foul on Olajuwon, that is his 5th. Only 2 teams have come back from 0-2 to win the NBA Finals. The 69 Celtics did it, and the 77 Trailblazers. Both clubs, though, lost the first 2 on the road and then were going home.
First club had Bill Russell in his last season, finishing out his 11th championship.
And the second club had
Maurice Lucas.
Yes, Maurice Lucas. A couple of other
Bobby
guys.
Gross.
Bobby Gross. Right.
Dave Twardzik.
Bobby Gross, Lionel Hollins, Johnny Davis, Jack Ramsey, the Hall of Fame coach, of course.
And a big redhead, I believe.
Big Bill Walton. Rudy Tomjanovich getting another ball handler on the floor, and good foul shooter in Kenny Smith, taking Olajuwon out right now to kind of protect him with 5 fouls. In this situation, you're always expecting something wild to happen.
Dangerous pass.
And the foul is given with 44 seconds remaining. Grant called on that foul. Sunday night at 7 in the East, 4 Pacific Coast time. It will be Orlando and Houston in Game 3 from the Summit in Houston. That is coming up, preceded by a special edition of Showtime.
Well, the obvious heroes for Houston in this game. Olajuwon, a terrific game, a great start where the single coverage didn't work. Shaq picked up 2 fouls. They had to go to the double team. Clyde Drexler coming on late, and then Sam Cassell with a brilliant game. But I'll tell you, a big key in this game, Robert Horry defensively playing every minute of this game.
And Cassell off the steal. Down to 35 seconds remaining.
How about the job Rudy Tomjanovich did, not letting his team be satisfied with a split. A lot of people thought that Orlando would come out and just blow out a casual Houston team tonight, thinking that we got the 1, we'll go home and take care of business. But they came out and just ran a clinic. You mentioned Robert Horry. Charles Jones was terrific in the limited minutes he had. It's just one of those total team efforts where everybody goes home feeling really, really good about themselves.
And the Magic got the big games from Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway, but never got the scoring punch from Anderson and Scott.
And the Houston Rockets will make it 7 straight wins on the road. That will set an NBA playoff record. 115-101. Anderson with 22 seconds remaining. And some pressure by the Magic as this game number 2 winds down. The unexpected here in the NBA Finals with the Houston Rockets. Clyde Drexler with 23. The Houston Rockets coming to Orlando. Obviously, the layoff has not mattered as they are able to take the first 2 of this best of 7 against the Orlando Magic, a team that came off a grueling 7-game series against the Indiana Pacers. That's a 3 for Hardaway. 117-106. And Sam Cassell contributed right to the locker room. The Rockets with the convincing victory led by as many as 23, sparked by the likes of Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, and Sam Cassell, who in his 29 minutes had 31 points to equal his career playoff high. Let's go to Hannah with Sam.
Well, Sam, everybody said coming into this series that the biggest mismatch would be at point guard, but first Kenny Smith in game 1 and now you in game 2. You proved everybody wrong.
Well, the credit's been on man Kenny the whole year, so we just go out there and play ball. We don't play a big role in this ball club, but anything we bring to this team is an added addition.
Did you expect them to come out with more fire and determination tonight?
Well, we knew that's going to give us a run for our money, but we just wanted to stick together and do the things we like to do down the stretch, and we've done it.
How much of what happened against San Antonio? You went up 2-0 on the road, came home and lost a pair. How much of that is going to be on your mind going back to Houston?
Well, we don't want that situation no more. We got to come out with some intensity. We home, we relax, but we got to win game homes. We got to win games home.
Sammy, it's only natural that now people are going to conjecture that you could possibly sweep the Magic. Is that possible?
We're not going to worry about that. We're going to take one game at a time and do the things we like to do.
Good job, Sam. See you Sunday. Marv?
Sam Cassell, 8 of 12 from the field, 11 of 12 from the line, 31 points in all. Again, the final score, 117-106 for the Rockets. Later tonight here on NBC, following your local news, it's The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. His guests include Reggie Miller of the Indiana Pacers. From Matt Kukas, Bill Walton, Ahmad Rashad, Hannah Storm, and Bob Costas. I'm Marv Albert saying so long from Orlando. Rockets up 2-0 in the best of 7. This has been the NBA on NBC.